Did we sleep together last night, Mark? Those 7 words hung in the air of my small apartment kitchen, freezing me in place as I stood there holding 2 mugs of coffee. My boss, Catherine Reynolds, the woman who controlled my career, my income, the very stability I'd fought to create for my daughter, sat at my kitchen table in borrowed clothes, her eyes searching mine for an answer. How could I tell her the truth? That nothing happened. That I'd been a gentleman. That I'd given up my bed and slept on the couch. Would she even believe me? The look in her eyes told me she'd already made up her mind about what happened. In that moment, I knew my life was about to change forever. If you've ever had your world turned upside down by a single question, hit that like button. And subscribe to see more stories about ordinary people facing extraordinary moments that change everything. 3 months earlier, I was just Mark Donovan, a 34-year-old single dad to my amazing 8-year-old daughter, Lily. My wife Sarah had passed away from cancer when Lily was just 4, leaving me to navigate parenthood alone while trying to keep our world from falling apart. I worked as a senior account manager at Reynolds Marketing, a mid-sized agency that had been good to me through Sarah's illness and after. The flexible hours meant I could be there for school drop-offs and pickups, and the salary covered our modest apartment and Lily's needs. It wasn't perfect, but we were making it work. Catherine Reynolds had taken over as CEO 6 months ago when her father retired. At 38, she was brilliant, driven, and intimidating. The office rumors painted her as cold and calculating, the ice queen, they called her. But I'd seen glimpses of something else during our meetings, a flash of vulnerability, a moment of genuine laughter, a thoughtful question about Lily. That Friday started like any other. I dropped Lily at my sister Jenny's for their monthly sleepover. Lily loved these nights with her aunt, and it gave me a rare evening to catch up on work or simply breathe. I planned to order takeout, watch something mindless on TV, and go to bed early. Then came the company-wide email, mandatory team celebration tonight at Westside Tavern, 7 p.m. Reynolds Marketing just landed the Horizon account. The Horizon account. We'd been chasing it for months. It would secure the company's future, and my job, for years to come. I couldn't skip this, even if I wanted to. The Westside Tavern was packed when I arrived. Music pulsed through the crowded bar as colleagues celebrated with an enthusiasm that only job security and free alcohol can inspire. I nursed a single beer, making small talk and watching the clock. By 9, I figured I'd put in enough face time to leave without seeming ungrateful. That's when I spotted Catherine in the corner booth, alone with a line of empty shot glasses in front of her. Her normally perfect hair was slightly disheveled, her blazer discarded. She looked nothing like the composed executive who commanded boardrooms. She looked human. As I approached to say goodnight, she looked up with glassy eyes. "Mark. The family man." Her words slurred slightly. "Sit. Drink with me. That's an order." I slid into the booth across from her. "Congratulations on Horizon. It's a game changer." She waved dismissively. "Game changer. Yes. That's what my father said too, when he called." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. 3 years of work, and his response was, "Good job, Catherine." That's what I expected. I didn't know what to say. This was a side of Catherine I'd never seen, vulnerable, almost bitter. "You know what it's like," she continued, pouring another shot. "To work your entire life for someone's approval and never quite get it?" "I can't say I do," I answered honestly. She studied me for a moment. "No, you wouldn't. You're authentic, Mark. It's why clients trust you. Why I trust you." She pushed a shot toward me. "Drink." I hesitated, then took the shot, feeling the burn down my throat. "To expectations," she said, raising another glass. "And the people who never live up to them." 2 hours later, Catherine was in no condition to get herself home. Our colleagues had gradually filtered out, leaving me with an increasingly intoxicated CEO who was now sharing stories about her childhood that I suspected she'd regret telling me in the morning. "I should get you home," I finally said, helping her to her feet. She swayed against me. "My driver. I'll call my driver. It's almost midnight. Let me get you a cab." But when we stepped outside, Catherine couldn't remember her address. Her words were jumbled, and she was leaning heavily against me in the cool night air. "I don't feel so good," she mumbled. I made a split-second decision that would change everything. "I live 15 minutes away. You can crash at my place and sort yourself out in the morning." The cab ride was silent. Catherine dozed against my shoulder, her expensive perfume mingling with the scent of whiskey. I stared out the window, wondering if I was making a terrible mistake. But what choice did I have? I couldn't leave her alone in this state. My apartment felt smaller than ever as I guided Catherine inside. It wasn't much, a two-bedroom with Lily's artwork decorating the walls, mismatched furniture we'd collected over the years, and the lingering scent of the spaghetti dinner I'd made the night before. "Bathroom?" she asked, her voice small. I pointed her in the right direction and quickly tidied up the living room, gathering stray toys and books. When Catherine emerged, her makeup was smudged, and she looked exhausted. "You can take my bed," I offered. "I'll sleep on the couch." "I've disrupted your night enough," she protested weakly. "It's fine. Let me get you something to sleep in." I found an old t-shirt and sweatpants that Sarah had left behind. They were the only women's clothes in the house. I handed them to Catherine without explanation, and she accepted them with a nod. "There's water and Advil on the nightstand," I said, showing her to my bedroom. "Bathroom's across the hall if you need it." "Thank you, Mark," she said, her voice suddenly clear. She looked around my bedroom, the simple furnishings, the photo of Lily and me on the dresser, the book on the nightstand. "You're a good man." I closed the door behind me and made up the couch, my mind racing. What would happen tomorrow? Would she remember any of this? Would there be professional consequences for seeing my boss in such a vulnerable state? Sleep came fitfully. I woke at dawn from habit. Lily usually had me up early, and lay there listening to the quiet apartment. Eventually, I got up and made coffee, trying to be as silent as possible. That's when Catherine appeared in the doorway of the kitchen, wearing Sarah's clothes, her hair tousled from sleep, her face bare of makeup. She looked younger, softer somehow. "Good morning," I said, offering a mug of coffee. "How are you feeling?" She accepted the coffee with both hands, her eyes never leaving mine. There was confusion there, and something else, fear, maybe. "Did we sleep together last night, Mark?" The question hit me like a physical blow. I nearly dropped my own mug. "No," I said firmly. "Absolutely not. You were drunk. I gave you my bed. I slept on the couch." Relief flooded her face, followed quickly by embarrassment. "I'm sorry. I couldn't remember, and I woke up in strange clothes, in a strange bed." "Nothing happened," I assured her. "I promise." She nodded, sipping her coffee. "Thank you. For taking care of me. For being a gentleman." She glanced around the apartment. "You have a daughter?" "Lily. She's 8. She's at my sister's for the night." Catherine nodded again, her eyes landing on a finger-painted masterpiece on the refrigerator. "You're raising her alone?" "Yes. My wife passed away 4 years ago." "I'm sorry." The words were simple but sincere. We sat in silence for a few minutes, drinking our coffee. It should have been awkward, but somehow it wasn't. There was a strange comfort in the quiet morning, as if we'd stepped outside our normal roles. "I should go," she finally said. "Can I call a car?" I handed her my phone, and she made a quick call. While she waited, she changed back into her clothes from the night before and tried to smooth her hair. "About last night," she began, standing by the door. "It never happened," I assured her. "As far as I'm concerned, you got home safely after the celebration. That's all." She studied me for a long moment. "Why are you being so kind about this?" The question caught me off guard. "Because it's what anyone would do." "No," she said softly. "It's not." Her car arrived, and she left with a simple, "Thank you." I watched from my window as she climbed into the black sedan, looking every bit the CEO again despite her rumpled clothes. I spent the rest of the weekend with Lily, pushing the strange encounter to the back of my mind. We baked cookies, went to the park, and read her favorite stories. Normal life. Safe life. Monday morning arrived with a knot in my stomach. I dropped Lily at school and headed to the office, unsure what to expect. Would Catherine avoid me? Would there be awkwardness? Worse, would she somehow think I'd taken advantage of the situation? The office was buzzing with post-celebration gossip, but no one mentioned Catherine's condition or disappearance. I kept my head down, focusing on work, waiting for the other shoe to drop. At 2 p.m., my phone pinged with a meeting request, K. Reynolds, 4:30 p.m., private. This was it. I spent the next 2 hours alternating between panic and resignation. Was I about to be fired? Transferred? Warned about keeping quiet? Catherine's assistant ushered me into the office at exactly 4:30. Catherine sat behind her desk, impeccably dressed, her face a professional mask. "Close the door, please," she said. I did as instructed and took the seat across from her, my hands clasped to hide their trembling. "I want to talk about Friday night," she began. "I haven't said anything to anyone," I assured her quickly. "And I won't." She held up a hand. "That's not why I called you here." She took a deep breath. "I wanted to thank you properly. You showed me kindness and respect when I was at my most vulnerable. That's rare." I shifted uncomfortably. "Anyone would have done the same." "No," she said firmly. "They wouldn't have. Most people would have taken advantage, either physically or professionally. You did neither." I didn't know what to say to that. "It made me realize something," she continued. "I've been so focused on proving myself, on living up to my father's legacy, that I've forgotten what's important. Seeing your home, the life you've built for your daughter despite your loss, it affected me." She stood and walked to the window, looking out at the city below. "I'm restructuring the company," she said. "Creating a new position, Director of Client Relations. It would mean more responsibility, a significant raise, and more flexible hours." She turned to face me. "I'd like you to consider it." I stared at her, stunned. "Are you offering me a promotion because I helped you when you were drunk?" She smiled slightly. "I'm offering you a promotion because you're the best person for the job. Your client retention rates are the highest in the company. Your team respects you. And yes, you've demonstrated character and integrity that I value." She paused. "The fact that it would give you more time with your daughter is a bonus I thought you'd appreciate." My mind raced. A promotion. More money. More time with Lily. It was everything I needed. "Why?" I asked, still not quite believing it. Catherine sat back down, her expression softening. "That night, you asked me if I knew what it was like to work my entire life for someone's approval and never get it. The truth is, I do. My father built this company expecting me to follow in his footsteps, but nothing I do is ever enough." She looked directly at me. "I don't want to be that person, Mark. I don't want to be someone who can't recognize value and reward it. I thought about Lily, about the stability this would provide, about the extra hours I could spend with her instead of working late. I'd like to accept," I said finally. "Thank you." Catherine nodded, a genuine smile crossing her face. Good. We'll announce it next week. She stood, extending her hand. And Mark? That question I asked you Saturday morning? It changed everything for me. It made me realize I've been living all wrong. Sometimes it takes seeing yourself through someone else's eyes to understand who you really are, and who you want to be. As I shook her hand, I realized that her question had changed everything for me too, just not in the way either of us could have predicted. Over the next year, Reynolds' marketing transformed. Catherine's leadership style shifted from demanding perfection to fostering growth. My new role gave me the flexibility to be there for Lily's school events and still excel professionally. The company culture improved, turnover decreased, and profits increased. Catherine and I developed a professional friendship based on mutual respect. She occasionally asked about Lily, and I found myself sharing stories of our life, the challenges of raising a daughter alone, the small victories, the moments that made it all worthwhile. 6 months after my promotion, Catherine invited Lily and me to a company picnic. I was surprised. These events were usually for executives only, but accepted. Lily was excited about meeting Daddy's boss lady, and wore her favorite dress for the occasion. The picnic was held at Catherine's family estate, a sprawling property with gardens and a lake. Executives and their families mingled on the manicured lawn, a far cry from our usual office environment. Catherine greeted us personally, kneeling to shake Lily's hand with the same seriousness she used with board members. "You must be Lily," she said. "Your dad talks about you all the time." Lily studied her with the frank curiosity of childhood. "Are you really the boss of everybody?" Catherine laughed, a real laugh, not the polite chuckle she used in meetings. "I try to be. But sometimes I think your dad is secretly in charge." Lily nodded solemnly. "Daddy's good at being in charge. He makes the best rules." Throughout the day, I watched as Catherine interacted with my daughter, listening to her stories, helping her make a flower crown, introducing her to other children. There was a gentleness to her I'd never seen before. As the afternoon waned, Catherine found me watching Lily play with the other kids. "She's remarkable," she said, standing beside me. "You've done an amazing job with her." "I'm trying," I admitted. "Some days are harder than others." Catherine was quiet for a moment. "My father never came to a single school event," she said finally. "He was always too busy building the company. I used to tell myself it was worth it, that his success was more important than his presence." She watched Lily laugh with another child. "I was wrong. It's not easy balancing everything," I said. "No," she agreed. "But you're proving it's possible." She turned to face me. "That's why I wanted you in leadership, Mark. You bring a perspective we need, that I need." As the sun began to set, guests started to leave. Lily had fallen asleep on a garden bench, exhausted from a day of play. "Let me help you get her to the car," Catherine offered. Together, we carried my sleeping daughter across the lawn. As I buckled Lily into her seat, Catherine stood watching with an unreadable expression. "Thank you for today," I said. "Lily had a wonderful time." "I did too," she replied. Then, hesitantly, I was wondering if, perhaps, you and Lily might like to join me for dinner sometime? Not as colleagues. As friends. The invitation hung between us, weighted with possibility. "We'd like that," I said simply. Catherine smiled, a real smile that reached her eyes. "Good." As I drove home with Lily sleeping in the back seat, I thought about how a single question asked in my kitchen a year ago had set in motion changes neither of us could have imagined. Catherine's "Did we sleep together last night?" had shattered my life, yes, but in breaking apart the careful boundaries I'd built, it had created space for something new to grow. Sometimes the questions that seem to destroy us are actually the ones that save us. They force us to confront truths we've been avoiding, to see possibilities we've been blind to rebuild in ways we never thought possible. 3 years later, Lily has two parents again. Catherine is no longer my boss. We're partners in a new agency we built together, one that values family and balance as much as success. Our home is filled with laughter, with challenges overcome together, with a love that grew from the